Thank you so much for joining us, Steve Maltepes, professional sports bettor, also known as the Philly Godfather. First up, for the people who don't know, why the name Philly Godfather? What's the story behind it?
Well, we're actually shooting a movie about my life right now, and it'll be out in probably about a year and a half. So you guys can get to find out the real story. There's a lot of rumors floating around out there, but I've been doing this for over 30 years. Started back in the late '80s, and when you start beating the crap out of books, on the street, next thing you know, they learn to respect you, and that's how the name came about.
And you learned to gamble from some of the sharpest minds in the game, you say. And this was after you dropped out of high school. You were approached by a friend, is that right?
Yeah, you know the whole story. You're good. Go ahead, keep going. I'll let you tell it.
So, did you know at the time the sports betting world would get as big as it is now?
No, I had no clue, man. I was a kid. I was a teenage kid. Buddy of mine came up to me and he goes, "Find me some bookmakers, and you can make some money." And I go, "What are we taking bets?" And he goes, "No, we're betting." I looked at him and I was like, "What do you mean? Everyone who bets loses." He goes, "Don't worry about it. We're going to win. We got the hot games." So I said, "All right, why not?" So I found him a couple bookmakers in the street. And slowly, week after week, he just kept winning and winning. And our edge was a lot bigger back then. There was less information out there. Now with the internet, it's hard. You're racing against everyone to beat the number to get the best of the price, trying to be ahead of the curve. But back then, it was a lot easier. And after about 6 weeks, I became a believer. I mean, my pockets were full. We were making a ton of money. I started going out and finding more bookmakers for them to bet with. And what started in Philadelphia, we ended up going to New York, Delaware. We were up as far as Boston, down to Florida. I was going up and down the East Coast looking for as many bookmakers as I can to make as much money as possible, to get down as much as I could on these games.
And you've already talked about it a little bit, but with these big media companies like ESPN, Yahoo, Barstool, etc., they're placing a huge focus on sports betting now. Has that affected your business at all?
No, I mean, we haven't stopped firing for 30 years. It's getting harder and harder to get down. Books will limit you, books will cut you off, especially if you keep beating the number and you're ahead of the curve. And they got software now where they can identify an advanced player so fast. And some books will cut you off completely, while others will lower your limits. You got to really learn how to camouflage your stuff if you're a professional sports bettor these days. If you want to, last long in this business, or else you're going to have an expiration date. And as more and more European books take over, you see what they're doing. They're just cutting sharp sports bettors off completely. So it's getting tougher and tougher to get down, but we still find a way to turn a profit.
And you're not new to this and have been in the game. Do you have any specific rules that you personally follow when it comes to sports betting?
I mean, you can't chase. I mean, everyone talks about it all the time, but if you have a bad week, you got to take it on the chin and come back firing. And you got to trust in your numbers. You got to trust in your process and your reads, and you got to do your homework. I mean, I haven't stopped reading since the Bengals won and the Rams won. I've been reading about 14 hours a day. I haven't even slept because all these prop bets are coming out, and Super Bowl's pretty big for us. So we want to give our customers who are on the website the best information possible, the sharpest information possible. And you also got to have a good network around you. I'm not the only sharp guy out there. There's a bunch of sharp guys out there, and a lot of us know each other, and we talk, and that always helps. You never want to chase. You never want to get the worst of a number. You got to look around key numbers, threes and sevens in the NFL, obviously. But there's so much more to it. I mean, you got to do your homework and you got to trust in your research.
I know you talked about a movie coming out about you, but I don't know if this is true or not. Did you make an appearance in a movie?
Yeah, I was actually in Creed 2. We shot for like 3 days, and I was all excited to go see the movie. And me and my wife go see the movie, and you see the side of my head for like 3 seconds, and that was it.
So we have this Super Bowl coming up on February 13th, Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams. I'm curious on who you got.
I mean, the Rams look like the team. You know, they're just on paper. They're better than Cincinnati. The metrics, the analytics, everything you look at. They look like they got more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. They got the much stronger offensive line. Looks like they got the better pass rush. But this Bengals team, I mean, could it be a team of destiny? Joe Burrow, I've been talking about him being the best quarterback in the NFL all year. And now people are finally starting to believe me. This kid's unreal. He, the big stage never makes him nervous. His demeanor, he's so cool out there. I mean, he's won the national championship, won the Heisman, and now he's in the Super Bowl in only his second year after a major injury last year. So this is big. So, I mean, the quantitative factors tell you the Rams are the side, but there's a lot of qualitative factors surrounding this game that could lean towards the Bengals. It's going to be a great game. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. There's a lot of high profile weapons on both sides of the ball. You got Jamar Chase, you got Joe Mixon, and with the Rams you got Odell, you got Cooper Cup, who I mean the kid's playing unreal this year. You got Cam Akers running the ball. It's going to be a great Super Bowl to watch.
For sure. And I saw you have done some fun Super Bowl bets on things like the length of the national anthem or if the president will call the winning team by midnight. Do you have any plan for Super Bowl 56?
Well, we're still reading on them, and there's so many props. I mean, Westgate came out last night with a million props. So far, I bet the over 27.5 receiving yards for Joe Mixon. If you look at the playoffs, he had 28 against the Raiders, he had 51 against the Titans, and 27 against the Chiefs. And if you look at the pressure rate on the defensive side of the ball with the Rams and the Titans, they're very similar. They get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And with the team like the Bengals who have a subpar offensive line, you might see Joe Burrow look to check to Joe Mixon, and he can always break it for a little bit. So I went over 27.5 yards with Joe Mixon. I bet over passing yards second half instead of first half for Joe Burrow. I think he's going to have more passing yards in the second half than the first half. I think they're going to come out a little conservative, run the ball a little bit more, try and keep the game kind of close. And then the second half is where the Bengals have. I mean, they came out in the second half against Kansas City. They shut them down twice this year. And this is a team with Joe Burrow that I don't know how he does it. I mean, he's been sacked 12 times in the playoffs. He's thrown for over 800 yards and they're in the Super Bowl. And I've never seen a team with this much of an inefficient offensive line make the Super Bowl before. And that's a big tribute to how great this kid is, Joe Burrows. He's unbelievable.
He is. It will be very interesting to see what happens come Sunday, February 13th. Well, thank you so much for your time, Philly Godfather. It was a pleasure.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks.